tell your friends about the two of us. I'm not in love, no, no. It's because. Hello, welcome back to Echo City Music Lab. I'm Nate, and today we're doing a song called I'm Not in Love. This was originally recorded back in 1975 by a band called 10cc, and then recently Kelsey did an awesome cover of it. I really like both versions. Musically, they have a ton in common, and they're in the same key. I tried to create a version that utilizes my favorite parts of both of them, and whether you landed on this video because of the Kelsey version or the 10cc version, I think you'll be satisfied with this arrangement. Don't forget to grab the chords and lyrics chart that I put down in the description to follow along, and let's just get into it. I'm going to show you the verse first because that's the main part of the song, probably what you're most eager to learn. Then I'll show you the bridge, the intro, and we'll even take a look at that long, kind of strange ambient part in the middle of the song. And I should mention that this song is in the key of E major. So it's got a F sharp, a G sharp, a C sharp, and a D sharp in it. And knowing that is going to come in handy in the ambient middle section. Okay, so here are the chords you need for the verse. We've got an A major. It's going to be A, C sharp, and E. And the whole time, whenever I'm doing a chord in the right hand, I'll do a left hand bass note an octave lower just on the note the chord is named after. So when we got an A, we'll do a A down here. Next, we've got a A minor. So once again, I'm doing the A bass note, and we've got A, C, and E. So we just took that major chord and flatted the middle note, which makes it sound minor. Next, we've got a G sharp minor 7. Now, because we're doing the G sharp bass note, we don't really need to hear it again here. So to make it a little easier on your hands, you can just voice it like this. So it's going to be a G sharp in the left hand, and the right hand's going to do a B, a D sharp, and an F sharp. Next is a G sharp dominant 7, or just G7 for short. Once again, we'll just do the top 3 notes for the right hand. So G sharp in the left hand again, and then C, D sharp, and F sharp. So the change between those last 2 chords is just a matter of taking your thumb up a half step from the B to the C. So already this chord progression is played with the parallel major minor thing twice. Kind of cool. After that, we've just got a regular C sharp minor chord. And that's going to be C sharp, E, and G sharp. Left hand will be doing the C sharp. And then followed by C sharp minor over B. So the slash B, we're just going to walk down the left hand bass note to that B. And then the progression just repeats over again. So here's what we got so far. I'm going to do right hand just quarter note chords on every count. It will sound like this. I'm not in love, so don't forget it. It's just a silly phase I'm going through. And notice I did 4 counts for each chord, so each chord is a measure long, except for when you get to that C sharp minor, it's going to be 2 counts of that before you walk down to the B for the second half of that measure. So 1, 2, 1, 2, second half of the verse. And just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you've got it made. And then back to A. I'm not in love, no, no. So there's a new chord. This is B. B major is gonna get a B, D sharp, and F sharp. And finally, we've got an E major chord. Gonna do an inversion of it, so the B is actually at the bottom. So it's gonna be a B, E, and G sharp. And even though the right hand's doing an inversion, it's still called an E major chord. We're gonna do an E bass note. And I'm gonna go down a little lower for that. So the transition from the B, it's because the inversion makes it easier there. Your thumb can just stay on B as you move the other notes up. And I'll mention there's this little melody that happens whenever it does the C sharp minor with the walk down to the C sharp minor over B. The melody goes. So that's just G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and it just repeats 3 times with that rhythm. It's catchy, and if it's important to your ear when it comes to this song, you can throw it in. So like, don't get me wrong, I don't think you've got it made. I'm not in love. You have to kind of interrupt that quarter note rhythm to make it happen. So I think it could sound good just not doing it, but you can throw it in if you like. I'm going to play through that whole verse one more time. And how about this? First half of the verse, I will not do that melody that we were just talking about, and then the second half I will. And the verses are kind of chill and quiet, although when it goes from the G sharp minor 7 chord to the G sharp dominant 7 chord, I like to kind of crescendo a little bit, swell, and get a little bit louder. So throughout this song, there's kind of just some rising and falling of the dynamics. Take a listen. I'm not in love, so don't forget it. It's just a silly phase I'm going through. And just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you've got it made. I'm not in love, no, no. It's because, and you hold this E chord for 2 measures before the next verse. It's kind of like a verse and chorus wrapped up in one. You could argue that last line, I'm not in love, no, no, it's because, is the chorus, but it's only one line. But song section names are arbitrary, as long as we're on the same page when we talk about it. Let's take a look at the intro now. So you're gonna have an A major 7 over B. So that's an A major 7 over here with a B bass note. The right hand chord is A, C sharp, E, G sharp. If that's too tricky for your fingers, I would suggest just forgetting about the E and doing A, C sharp with the second finger and then your pinky on G sharp. That sounds nice. Or if that's too much of a stretch still, you could just do an A major chord in the right hand. Still sounds good. Then we just resolve it up to a B major chord like we were doing earlier. So left hand bass note stays the same. So we've got 3, 4. So just one measure of each chord. You go back and forth 4 times. Just kind of gently easing into the song. And then on the 4th time, we've got a measure of the A major 7 over B, and then 2 counts of B, 2 counts of G sharp 7, and then we're into the verse. So one more time. The final 2 measures of that intro are 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not in love. And we're in the verse. And by the way, the outro of the song is the same thing. It just doesn't go to that G sharp dominant 7 at the end. That part kind of just is to lead into the verses. So you just finish on the B. Let's look at the bridge. I'm basing these chords slightly more on the 10cc version, which feels a little more streamlined and satisfying to play. So we've got A minor, which we've been doing. And then we've also got D7 over F sharp. So the bass note is going to be F sharp. And here's here's a D7, invert it down, and we've already got 2 F sharps. Let's do this. Sorry if that was a little hard to follow, but this is what you got to do. A, C, D with the right hand while you do the F sharp. That sounds good. Next we've got a G, all white keys. G, B, D, and then an E minor 7, which if you do the E bass note, you can keep the right hand the same. So it's like a G chord in the right hand with a E bass note. That's the E minor 7. So here's what we got. And I think it makes sense to start on the second finger for the left hand bass notes. We've got A minor for 2 counts, D sharp 7, over F sharp for 2 counts. Notice the difference between the A minor and that for the right hand is just stepping down that top note to the D with your 4th finger. So A minor, 2, D7 over F sharp, 2, G, 2, E minor 7, 2, And check this out. You can walk down the bass note on the second count of every other chord. So what I mean by that is A minor, and then A minor over G, and then the D7 over F sharp, 2. Then G, G over F sharp, E minor 7, 2. So. The second line of it starts the same. Ooh, you wait a long time. Then we've got a D over E and a E. We've already learned the E. We were doing the inversion. Let's do a similar inversion for the D. So that's going to be A, D, and F sharp. And while the left hand is doing that E bass note. So, and then you resolve it up to a E. So both with the E bass note. So that second line is, ooh, you wait a long time. So 2 counts for each. Or you could do a slightly more advanced version and do like, so that's 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And that's all there is to the bridge, which leaves us with the ambient middle section. This is the part where everything kind of drops out and there's just a bunch of sort of noodling on some high keys while the left hand does some bass notes sometimes and the singer whispers, "Big boys don't cry." And here's what I'll say about this section. I really like it. I think it's cool. I also think if you're doing just a piano arrangement, just your voice playing the piano, it might not make as much sense as it does on a studio recording when you have all these effects and you can create that soundscape. So if you want to skip it, I think that could still be an awesome version of the song. But hey, if you want to do it, that's cool too. All the shimmering keyboard sounds, it's all just kind of stepping around on an E major scale, which I mentioned earlier. This will be easiest if you know the fingering for the E major scale and can run it quickly. I'll make videos on that eventually, but there's great videos on YouTube already, so check those out and practice your scales so that when you get to this ambient section, you can just kind of fly around. You can use both hands. I would definitely put down the sustain pedal. And then after you're kind of messing around with that, and maybe you've whispered, big boys don't cry, a few times, you can add some low bass notes with your left hand. If the sustains pedal is held, you can bring your left hand back up to help out your right hand with the shimmering stuff. Just some low B's. You know, whatever you're feeling. This section is very loose. And then, whenever you're ready, you can just kind of go back to that next verse. All right, that's all the parts for I'm Not in Love. I'm going to put it all together now. I know that was kind of a lot of jumping around different sections, so hopefully seeing me do it all the way through in order now will be helpful. Please subscribe to the Echo City Music Lab channel for more tutorials like this and leave a comment letting me know what I should do next. So here's my version of I'm Not in Love. Just a silly phase I'm going through, and just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you've got it made. I'm not in love, no, no. It's because But then again, it doesn't mean you mean that much to me. So if I call you, don't make a fuss. Don't tell your friends about the two of us. I'm not in love, no, no. It's because big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. I keep your picture upon the wall. It hides a nasty stain that's lying there. So don't you ask me to give it back. I know you know it doesn't mean that much to me.